I'm Chief Jimmy Traps, Tangipahoa Parish Sheriff's Office. We're holding this press conference to release some information. I know some of you have read on our social media where we arrested 4 individuals Saturday in reference to 40 stolen iPhones that were recovered. These phones are believed to be part of a pickpocketing scheme that was going on in New Orleans during Mardi Gras on Friday night. Since then, we were able to link this group with another group, which resulted in an arrest yesterday, Monday, on 7 more individuals, where we recovered 122 cell phones, 111 of those being iPhones, and the other being Androids, some of the most expensive, latest edition of the Android phones. There's total now of 11 individuals that we currently have in jail with multiple counts of possession of stolen property, criminal conspiracy. My understanding that New Orleans PD is also investigating the actual thefts of these devices down in New Orleans that happened over this weekend. We're asking the public, people that had their cell phones stolen, to please refrain, if they can, from contacting us directly. We have a link to on our website, tpso.org, that you can go in there and fill out your information on as far as your phone number, a contact number, your name and address, and so forth. We're also asking that if you had a phone stolen in New Orleans while you were down there, to go on NOLA.gov. If you scroll down, there's a section for the New Orleans Police Department that you can file an online report. So we're asking, that make sure that you do file a report that in fact your phone was stolen while you were attending Mardi Gras. You do the online report. It's just basic information that you can file, and you can also go into, like I said, tpso.org. We have a link there. Fill out your information. We've processed a lot of these phones, but it's a timely process because these phones are shut down. All of them we found so far is password protected, so we can't just initially open a phone up and tell you what number it is. We're having to either remove the SIM cards or hook up to extraction devices to determine the telephone numbers that's actually associated with these devices. And as we do that, we will be updating our list. We have a list, a redacted list, minus the prefixes, on our Facebook page, and that will be continuously updated until we get finished processing all our phones. And if we do get into a situation that we do have some of these Apple devices that we're not able to extract a number from, then at that time we're going to get with Apple and see if there's any way that they can determine the ownership of these devices. I'll take any questions at this time.
Do you have identifications on everyone yet?
Yes, sir. We pretty much have identification. We believe those persons involved is part of a Colombian theft ring going on here in the United States. We have reached out. We're in contact with several federal agencies that we're communicating with, trying to further this investigation and to get more information on these individuals. They're currently being held in Tangipahoa Parish Jail, waiting for a bond jail call in the morning to set bond.
So no bond has been set?
No bond is set.
Okay. And how did this come about?
Saturday morning, I received a text message from a deputy from Iberville Parish Sheriff's Office who advised me he had a relative whose son was pickpocketed on Friday night at a Mardi Gras parade in New Orleans. He sent me the ping, and it just so happened to be pretty close to my home. So I started looking into it. I got with it was a short-term, it's an apartment complex they use for short-term rentals. Okay. And it pinged back to that, and I was able to get with the property owner and discussing over the phone description of the suspect from Friday night. We were able to determine what unit these individuals were located in. At that time, I contacted our patrol division, and Detective Michael D'Amata. He runs our cyber crimes unit here at Tenchville Parish Sheriff's Office. They responded. We went to the residence. We done what they call a knock and talk. We had to get a translator because no one spoke English. We was able to get a translator, start talking to him, and finally one of the individuals says, "Oh, we found a bag of cell phones." He went into the home, removed the cell phones, brought them out, and then at that time we secured a search warrant for the rest of the premises and the vehicle. Upon that search, we discovered a backpack containing 40 iPhones, some Faraday bags, cardboard boxes, and packing tape. This is one of the small Faraday bags.
Right.
They had some large Faraday bags. It was about the size of a small laundry bag. These bags are designed that once you put a cellular device in it, it completely blocks all signals from coming or going from this phone. It also makes the phone go into extra power mode, or more power is going to the receiver to try to get a signal, which will in fact run the battery down in the phone very quickly. So these individuals will secure these phones in these bags where you're not able to track them, and then later on they remove them. Well, apparently this one or two phones that we were able to identify the owners that had actually tracked them to the location in Tickfall. These phones apparently, when they removed them from the Faraday bag, which they had a very large one, that was capable of holding probably 40 or 50 cell phones. Apparently, when they removed those devices, one of them still had some battery left to it, and they were not aware of it, and that's what allowed it to be tracked.
Now, why do you think someone like that group would want to steal these phones? Is it for identity theft or anything like that?
Well, we think it's just the value of the phones. I mean, if you sit there and look at these phones, I mean, pretty much any of the new iPhones, you're looking at $1,000. It's what it costs you to replace them. We think these are possibly being shipped out of the country where they could be getting that much or more for them on the black market. We got, of the 162 phones so far, all but 11 of them were iPhones. The other were high-end Android Samsungs.
How did you come about arresting the additional 7 yesterday? Were they arrested in Tickfall?
Yes. Well, we received information through our investigation that there was another unit located there that had another group of individuals staying that was connected to our initial group. Same way. Went out, made contact, we call it knock and talk. At that time when they opened the door, strong smell of marijuana came from the residence. At that time, our deputies secured the individuals. There ended up being 7 individuals located at that address. Search warrant was obtained, and upon search of that residence, that apartment, there was approximately 50 phones already bubble wrapped up and in a box that was basically, looked like they took a roll of packing tape and completely wrapped that box with several layers of packing tape. And we retrieved approximately 50 iPhones in that one box. And there was another 62 iPhones that was in other boxes that was in the process of being bubble wrapped.
Is this just a common, Mardi Gras mischief occurrence, or is this something that's,
I think this is organized crime. I mean, this is organized crime that people are going down. You're in a high crowded, large crowd, an environment where people are physically coming in contact with it, bumping into each other, squeezing through crowds and stuff. So someone rubbing up against you or touching you or making contact wouldn't alert you like it would be if you was like in a store someplace by your, away from the crowd. And it's just it's a great environment for pickpocketers.
So,
I've been contacted multiple people about wallets stolen, different things like that. So I think these pickpockets, some are there working, and I mean It's something since I've been a kid. You know, they've always warned you, don't go, you know, be careful of Mardi Gras because, you know, the pickpockets. Make sure your wallet's in your front pocket, make sure things like that. Well, now we're having to tell people, make sure your cell phone's secure. Because, I mean, you're walking around with your whole life, stick it in your back pocket. You know, you got people feed their animals with apps. I mean, you monitor your bank accounts, you pay bills, you turn the air conditioners on at your house. I mean, you got so many apps on these phones that we use them in every day. Different people use their phone to different levels. But, you know, we go back and we laugh about this. When, you know, we were a kid, how many phone numbers did you have memorized in your head? 100, 150 or whatever? Now, I mean, a lot of times you don't even know your parents' cell numbers or your spouses or whatever because you have it stored in your phone. And if you lose that phone, I mean, how do you contact it? In the same way, a lot of the people that lost their phone was teenagers. So they're down in the city, and that cell phone is it's kind of like their safety blanket. It's where the parents can communicate, or if they get in trouble, they can communicate with their parents or call 911, get directions, get help, get whatever they need. Well, all at once, that's been taken away from them. And, you know.
So were the stolen phones linked to any other particular event besides Mardi Gras, or is all the phones
everything we've been able to develop in our course of our investigation, it's all these phones has come from parades, St. Charles Avenue, some Bourbon streets, in between, you know, down there just basically the Mardi Gras festival goers.
I mean, you said that one unit, the smell of marijuana. Were any drugs involved? Were there any drug charges connected with these folks?
We were not able to locate any. You could just smell it. So apparently, we think once they realized the police were knocking on the door, it was disposed of very, very quickly.
Can you explain the Columbia theft ring a little bit more and the connection there?
Well, several of the individuals that was apprehended had Colombian identification cards. And then up on reaching out to several federal agencies that's providing us with information, they were able to provide us with intel that these people are associated with a Colombian theft ring that's operating in the United States.
Do you know where it came from? Initially, like, I think you said at one point some came from Miami, maybe?
Through our investigation, we have found recent receipts from Florida, New York, Chicago, all within the same week or two. So we're thinking that that's where they're. And one of the cars, there was 2 automobiles seized that was involved. One of them was out of Chicago.
Stolen?
No, not stolen, but it was just it was used in a crime. I mean, a systematic theft ring. So we're looking at possible seizing it.
Just out of curiosity, a week or so ago was the Super Bowl, which again, high crowd event, large crowd event. Were any receipts or anything traced back to Arizona?
No, sir, we didn't see anything back then, but I've been to a Super Bowl, and it's not like anything like Mardi Gras. You have a limited crowd. They come in for the game, and the game's over, they're gone. These Mardi Gras crowds, I mean, if you've been there or whatever, I mean, they stay there anywhere from 1 night to 4 or 5 nights, and it's just masses of people. You know, it's crowded. Everybody pushing and shoving and trying to get up to parade routes and along parade routes and things like that. So, I mean, it's just I would call it a very target-rich environment for a pickpocketer.
What's the total number of suspects, total number of phones recovered?
Phones recovered is 162, and suspects is 11.
All from Colombia, you believe?
We believe they're all Hispanic. You know, we've had some of the individuals that had multiple IDs, so we're not sure, you know, we're not sure which is the valid. That's why we're asking several of the federal agencies to come in and assist us with getting a true identity on these individuals.
And once you do get a true identity, what about charges as far as how will that work out?
Well, we will handle the possession of stolen property, the conspiracy charges here. It's possible New Orleans will arrest them for the theft charges, because that's where the thefts actually occurred. And then hopefully some of the federal agencies may come in and try to do charges on their end if you have people that's here illegally that's committing crimes.
And do you think, is it possible, you think, that they could post bond and be back out tomorrow? They're gonna have the bond hearing?
Well, they're going to have a bond hearing, so the only thing they can basically do is post a commercial bond. I'm not sure of any local bonding company that's going to post bond on someone that might be a resident of another country, because if they decide to skip bail, that bonding company is going to be on the hook for that money. Right. Unless there's someone that's going to come forward that can post a large amount of cash bond that they're willing to forfeit that bond if they skip town.
And I guess, just to extend that out a little bit, if somebody does come in and post a large cash bond, would that tip you off a little bit as to who's posting that bond?
I think if they come in doing that, we would reach out to our federal partners and make them aware of what's going on, or they can look into the sources of this cash.
So at this time, the charges they're facing will come from New Orleans versus Tangipahoa?
No, they're going to be charged here with possession of stolen property.
Mm-hmm.
They're charged with, and they're arrested for possession of stolen property and criminal conspiracy. We have them in our jail. Now, if New Orleans decides to carry forward with the felony theft charges, then what they will do is go in and put a detainer or a hold on them in our jail, and then once they're finished with the stuff here, then they will be transferred to Orleans Parish Prison to face those additional charges.
What do you hope your outcome is for this?
We are working diligently trying to identify the numbers and try to get these phones returned back to the owners as quickly as possible. You know, we don't want, we've had several people that went and replaced their phones, and that's a cost. We've had people that's not able to afford to replace their phones. Some of the phones we recovered is college students, teenagers, and that's my biggest goal right now, is to get these phones back in the hands of the owners, where they can continue, living. I mean, I know how it is with my phone. If I leave it someplace or leave it at home, and as soon as I realize it, I can leave my wallet at home and, hey, I'm fine. I can make it. But if I leave my cell phone at home, I've got to turn around and go back. I mean, it's just I guess this day and time, it's just become a necessity of living and carrying on in daily activities is that device. Plus, I'm on call pretty much 24 hours a day with work, so if I don't have my phone up and going, it's not good for me.